mangez plus de tout.
Ce soir, tu vas jouer pour moi, à ma place.
Non,
Je vais arrêter.
je peux pas vivre avec ça.
Marcel, what are you doing here?
I don't want you to write just any old thing about us.
Hello and welcome to this week's cinema show on Arts 24. I'm joined by our film critic Manon Kerjean to dive into 4 very different French releases. Hi Manon.
Hello.
Well, let's start with Nouvelle Vague because it's not every day that an American director revisits such a French institution.
Yes, it's quite bold, but Linklater, the director of Before Sunrise, Before Sunset and Before Midnight, has always had a deep fascination for French cinema. Here, he doesn't remake Breathless. He sort of creates his own playful conversation with the new wave. And the film was in competition at the Cannes Film Festival this year, and it will be released in the US by Netflix. It is shot in Paris, in black and white, with handheld cameras. Everything screams 1960s. You really feel like you've stepped into a Godard or Truffaut film.
Okay, so it's like a loving tribute, but does that really work for audiences today?
Well, that's the question. If you like the French New Wave, you'll smile at the references, the cigarette smoke, the jump cuts, the romantic strolls along the Seine. But even if you don't, it's still charming because it's got Linklater's humor. To be honest, sometimes it feels like a film made for cinephiles only, a little insider. But I admire the risk because not many directors today dare to film in this kind of experimental way.
It does seem a one-of-a-kind genre. Let's take a look at the trailer of Nouvelle Vague.
Aujourd'hui, tout le monde adore la Nouvelle Vague.
Tout ce dont on a besoin pour faire un film, c'est d'une fille et un flingue.
On n'aura jamais J.T. Burger.
I never even said that I'd do the picture.
Voici le film en résumé. Ne montre ça à personne.
Allez,
Entrons dans l'histoire du cinéma.
oh,
Moteur, Raoul. Moteur, Raoul.
moteur, Raoul.
Moteur, Raoul.
Chaque film est constitué de 5 films différents. Le film qu'on écrit, le film dont on distribue les rôles,
New York Herald Tribune.
le film qu'on tourne, le film qu'on monte et le film qu'on sort.
So wow, that's a real casting challenge then, trying to recreate that gang of famous French faces. I did spot Zoe Dutch as Jean Seberg there.
Yes, and they really look alike, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And if you want to dive more into French New Wave, I would recommend Le Redoutable. In the US, it's titled Godard, Mon Amour, and it's starring Louis Garrel.
Oh, okay. It does look quite stylish, though, I must say. Now, we turn to a very different film this week, Météors. This takes us far from Paris into small-town France, where friendship, survival and despair collide. Tell us more.
Yes, Météors is set in what's known as the diagonale du vide, literally the empty diagonal.
Yeah.
It's sort of a French Rust Belt running from the northeast to the southwest of France, and it's known for its declining population and economic struggles. So Météors is a bromance about 3 childhood friends who have drifted apart. Tony has found some success, while Mika and Dan are stuck in unstable jobs and regrets. So when Tony offers them to work in a zone contaminated by nuclear wastes, it's dangerous, but it feels like their only chance to rebuild a sense of purpose. Here is a glimpse.
Donc avec le cannabis, le permis, c'est au revoir.
Quoi?
Autre chose.
Arrête.
Une personne vous accuse du vol de son chat.
Mec,
Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
il est extrêmement moche. Ouais, impossible qu'il me ressemble, c'est impossible que c'est moi.
Il y a un collier GPS en dessous les bras. Jette-le par la fenêtre. Attention là.
T'as encore des poils là, regarde sur ton blouson.
Je me suis coupé les cheveux, on a les mêmes cheveux. Je suis blanc vénitien.
Vous comprenez la gravité des faits? Vous pouvez partir en détention là, aujourd'hui, maintenant.
Mais non, moi non, je vais pas en prison. Mon biquet, tu veux que je te sers un verre de Sky? Viens.
Arrête, stop.
Vous avez des hobbies?
Oh, moi j'aime les animaux. On va partir à La Réunion s'occuper des chiens dans un chenil.
On a besoin d'un contrat de travail,
Tu penses que tu pourrais nous prendre avec toi sur les chantiers?
d'analyse toxicologique propre, d'accord? Vous avez 6 mois pour faire vos preuves.
Bienvenue, Agence nationale de gestion des déchets radioactifs.
On prend pas de radiation là.
Ça craint rien. On a ça de la Réunion. Les gars, venez.
Dan, arrête.
Je vais glisser.
Arrête, toi.
Tu vaux rien dans la tête des gens. Tu vaux rien. Tu vaux zéro. Je veux plus. J'y arrive plus. J'y arrive plus. C'est tout.
So you've got social drama, a bit of humour, I think, and something a bit more intimate going on as well.
Yes, exactly. On the surface, it's about work and survival, but underneath, what it's really about is loyalty, guilt, and what it means to stay true to your roots when the world around you is collapsing. It reminded me of American movies like The Deer Hunter or even Nomadland, just stories of ordinary people in forgotten places, caught between despair and resilience.
And an interesting portrait of that generation as well. Well, another French auteur now, he's back with an intriguing project, Arnaud Desplechin. This is called Deux pianos, or Two Pianos. What's this one about?
So this is classic Desplechin. Emotional, intellectual, and slightly mysterious.
He does have a brand.
The story follows Mathias, a brilliant pianist who returns to France after years of exile. He's played by François, who's a little bit like our French Jake Gyllenhaal, intense and charismatic. But there's a twist. On his return, he encounters a young boy who looks exactly like him, almost like meeting his younger self. And this throws him into turmoil, forcing him to face not only his past choices, but also his first love.
Okay. Well, it's not just about music then. Then you've got mirror images, memory, identity.
Indeed, the piano becomes almost a metaphor here for harmony and dissonance in his life. It's as much about music as it is about the ghosts of youth, love, and the question, what would you do if you met your younger self? Here is a look of the trailer.
J'étais dans le parc hier. J'ai levé les yeux. Je me suis vu. Qu'est-ce que vous voulez dire?
Qu'est-ce que t'as volé ça? Attends, t'as volé une photo de mon fils? Pourquoi tu montes ça maintenant? Va-t'en.
Ce soir, tu vas jouer pour moi, à ma place.
Non,
Je vais arrêter.
je peux pas vivre avec ça.
Tu vas apprendre.
Qu'est-ce que t'attends?
Toi. Tu voulais pas de moi?
Non.
Et tu veux toujours pas de moi?
So some of that Desplechin emotional intensity I saw there. What did you think of it, Manon?
It's elegant and dense, at times a bit too cerebral, but it leaves you with haunting images and questions. So it's not the easiest film, but if you like his universe, you'll definitely be captivated.
Yeah, it's true. He does have his fans and people who don't get him, I guess. Well, finally, something lighter and more nostalgic. Now, Sylvain Chomet's animation Marcel et Mr. Pagnol, or A Magnificent Life in English. For those who don't know him, Marcel Pagnol was one of France's most beloved storytellers, a novelist, playwright, and filmmaker. He came from Marseille, and his warm southern accent was part of his identity, instantly recognizable to French audiences. His films from the 1930s were among the first French movies to travel to the US, and he even became the first filmmaker elected to the prestigious Académie Française. Well, this new film about him premiered at the Cannes Film Festival this year. Here's a glimpse.
One day, Mummy, you'll be proud of me.
So why don't you write a play that will take place at home in Marseille?
Finally, in Francais who speaks English.
Okay, so it looks like a family film, but at the same time, I guess it's a tribute to French literary heritage.
Yes, absolutely. Watching it made me think of those school editions of Pagnol, La Gloire de mon Père. For many French people, that's their first encounter with literature. And the director, Sylvain Chomet, had already paid tribute to another French legend, Jacques Tati, in his film The Illusionist. And his other film, The Triplets of Belleville, was selected at the Oscars in 2004.
And had quite a bit of international success as well. So we heard that version dubbed in English. I must say he sounded very British. But you saw the French one. How's it different?
It's very different because of the Marseille accent, obviously. It's important to know that Marcel Pagnol broke with the Parisian tradition by insisting that his characters speak in the authentic accent of his native town. And for French audiences, that southern melody, especially in classics like Marius, is completely inseparable from his work. But that's almost impossible to translate for English-speaking audiences. So that's why any English dub inevitably loses that distinctive flavor and can't possibly do justice to the signature dimension of Pagnol's work.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, we'll have to watch it in French then. Manon, thank you so much for guiding us through those movies this week. We'll be back next week with more cinema, and we'll leave you with more from A Magnificent Life. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
Becoming a writer. There are promises that are easier made than kept.
All right, I'll play that cuckold baker of yours.
Why did you change your mind? Talking movies, at last.
Was this a birdie store?
Marcel, what are you doing here?
I don't want you to write just any old thing about us. Because wherever you went, I went.
We had monstrous successes and monstrous failures, not to mention our own beloved monsters.
The charming French seaside, British stars like Rupert Everett, Twiggy and Kristen Scott Thomas. It can only mean one thing. The Dinard Film Festival is underway in Brittany. Join Arts 24 for a special programme with all the highlights.
Arts 24, presented by Eve Jackson on France 24 and France24.com.
Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith.
All the latest in politics, economics and the arts in Africa on France 24. Our journalists are in every region, every country, to report on the emergence of a continent of unparalleled riches, bringing you Africa's stories on France 24.
Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.
France 24 pushes digital news even further. France 24, a digital version. Economy, sports, news, special reports, all on demand. France 24, your first choice for news.